You're listening to the Mobcast Network.
It's Mando Monday!
Mando Mondays, Mando Mondays.
I like how we just kind of give up after that one.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever it starts. I'm your Native American pop culture spirit guide, Scotty, and I'm joined by my co-hosts.
Kohas, it's Drew.
Hey, Drew, what's up, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really excited about talking about this episode because until last week and this week, Chapter 4, The Sanctuary, it was my favorite episode. And then this kind of quasi two-parter, 7 and 8, has become my favorite episode just because it's just sheer awesomeness.
Yep.
But we'll talk about that when we get to it. We will talk about it more on my Star Wars Life this week. So if you want to listen to that, you can hear me, Drew, and JD talk about. He actually, as we speak, JD is watching it.
Because he had to work, right?
Yeah,
he's like tied
up. So he's not. He hasn't seen it yet. So. All right, so let's jump into this. So, The Mandalorian Chapter 4, The Sanctuary. Written by Jon Favreau, directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, who has been in lots of movies.
One of which happened to feature a village.
And the other featured a dinosaur, which will come up a lot in this.
Do you think that's why? Wait, now that you've put those two pieces together, we now know why she directed.
I have notes about that.
Oh, great. See, I like to tease it. I think I might be force sensitive, Finn style.
Oh. All right. So the episode starts Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian. We now get Gina Carano as Cara Dune. Gina has been in Deadpool, Fast and Furious 6, Kickboxer Vengeance with our friend Sam Medina.
Yep.
And we have Julia Jones as Omera. She's been in Twilight Eclipse, Wind River, Westworld. She's also a Native American.
Wind River is a phenomenal movie, by the way.
River. She's a Choctaw and Chickasaw. She's from New York.
That's awesome.
Very nice. We have, and I also wanted to put a shout out to Ida Darvish as the bar patron. She wrote and starred in Gigi, Almost American, The Astronaut Farmer, The Comedians, but she's also Josh Gad's wife.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so, in this show, and its trend of always having a comedian somewhere.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep. Brilliant.
So our bounty punk is going to be on our star itself, Pedro Pascal. Pedro has also been, he's been on lots of things, but most importantly, most notably, he's been in the Game of Thrones. He was in Narcos. He's in Kingman's Golden Circle, which is highly underrated. And he's been in The Mentalist. He's been, like I said, he's got a huge IMDb list. He was born April 2nd, 1975, in Santiago de Chile, in Chile. His whole name is Jose Pedro Balmaceda Pascal. He's also 5'11".
Oh, so he's normal height.
Normal height. So the Mandalorian is 5'11".
There we go.
Unless he's on the list, but I don't think he is. I think he's normal. He seems like average height. So he's born in Santiago, Chile, to Veronica Pascal and Jose Pedro Riera, the medical professional. His family was opposed to the dictator Augusto Pinochet, and thus they moved to the U.S. during Pedro's early years. Basically, they were like, that guy sucks, and they were like, we're going to kill you, and they're like, nope, we're going to the U.S.
Yep, see you later.
So they got asylum in the U.S. He was raised partially in Orange County, but California, but his family moved to San Antonio, Texas. As a boy, he was a swimmer.
No joke.
Was a very good swimmer. Was going for Olympic level at swimming. He won bunch of championships from what I've read at 11, and then he discovered drama and then dropped swimming and went into drama.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Well, he won either way, I guess.
Right, I guess he did. He's a member of the New York City Labyrinth Theater Company. Here's something interesting. So his next film is Wonder Woman 84. He plays Max Lord, the villain in it.
Right.
He also was in the failed Wonder Woman pilot.
Oh, the TV one.
The TV one, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so he had a starring role in that. That did not get picked up. So Wonder Woman was always in his future.
Maybe that was payback.
Maybe it was. I don't know. It depends on how big of the dump truck of money they put in front of me. Because I don't know if I'm like, I've done that. I don't know if I want to. I'm the Mandalorian now.
Well, we'll save it for the Fandom Free Zone. Just a little teaser.
A little teaser. All right. So you ready for the mission report?
Yes, sir.
Meet Krill. No, not our Ugnaught friend. From the first 2 episodes, whose name is Quill. That no one said. I had to learn, so I've been saying it wrong for months.
It's like Kuhil almost, right? Kuhil.
So, meet Krill. No, I'm talking about shrimp. Yep, space shrimp on the planet Sorgan. Omera watches her daughter catch a frog as her and her village collect space shrimp because space shrimp is awesome.
Seems like a pretty good harvest too.
Yeah, it's a pretty good year for the space shrimp. I hope they sell that. I hope that's not like their total diet is the space shrimp.
No, I think they do. I think that was their whole. I think they're actually
their economy is
krill farmers.
Krill farmers are
farm raised krill now available at Costco.
As the villagers go about their day collecting krill, they are attacked by Klatoonian mercenaries. Blaster shots are unleashed on the village. Omera washes for her daughter, and they get separated. Klatoonian raiders charge in, looting supplies in the harvest. One even strikes an astromech droid in the head because screw that droid. Omera and her daughter hide under a wooden basket while the raiders march away. Omera hugs her daughter and surveys the carnage left behind, and then credits. Meanwhile, the Mandalorian travels through space aboard the Razor's Crest. The child sits near the console and gazes up at space because he's a kid. He fiddles with the controls, causing the ship to jerk. That's becoming the latest meme.
It's one of my favorites, especially when they drop in the different songs.
The different songs.
It's gold.
It's great. Mandalorian has enough of that, scoops the child up into his lap, and they start studying a map, and they're like, we got to find a place to lay low. And so they find Sorgan, a backwater world with no industry, large settlements, and a spaceport. And you think that's a good place for them to hide.
Pants now.
Hey, we move noon. He reassures the child that nobody will find them there. No. So the Razor Crest lands. Mandalorian's going to go out and check things out. Tells the child to stay there. The child's not going to do that. We're 4 episodes in. The child is not going to stay. We've learned this. He's just not. He's like a puppy. They go visit a common house where there's food grilled over a large grill. Patrons are all human. And a Loth cat from Rebels growls at the child. I wonder how that got from Loth, startling him. The Mandalorian sets the child on but they have a Star Wars booster seat. It's great.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It's like, there are kids here that come to this bar, right? They're served by a common house proprietor who asks what they want, and so he orders bone broth for the kid, and the proprietor asks if he wants some, but the Mandalorian says only the little one needs it. The Mandalorian then asks about a woman that's dressed in green in the corner, and the proprietor says, "Oh yeah, she's been showing up from here and there, for about a week." And then he asks about her what her business is, and she's like, "I don't want to talk about it." And then he pays some credits, and the proprietor tells the Mandalorian that the woman doesn't look like a log runner. She promises to get the broth for him as soon as possible and brings him some spatchka as well, which I assume is some sort of alcohol. The Mandalorian soon finds that the young woman in green has left, and he prays the proprietor to keep an eye on the kid before leaving to follow the lady. Using his infrared sensor in his helmet, he tracks her footprints. She ambushes him, and they fight, and they fight, and they fight. And the Mandalorian uses a flamethrower because he has to use his flamethrower at least once
per episode. Yep.
It's because we've got it. We're going to use it.
Yes.
After throwing each other to the ground, they hold weapons at each other, resulting in a stalemate. The child follows them and just watches slurping on their bone.
I love what you hear is just like really human,
right?
Adult moment,
right.
And then it cuts to the kid,
right?
The child sitting,
which is also another one of my favorite names because that became for a while it was Kermit sipping tea. Now it's Baby Yoda sipping tea.
Yep.
Sipping bone broth, I guess it is. Currently at work, at my real job, my real gig, I have 2 monitors. One monitor is Cara Dune and Mandalorian fighting, and when they look over, and the other screen is the Yoda drinking that.
It's delightful.
I was like, yeah. When you have 2 monitors, you've got to do something.
Oh,
right?
I totally.
The 2 return to the common house. The woman is Cara Dune, and she is a former Rebel Alliance shock trooper, which they basically jump from things and kill Imperials.
This was okay to interject.
Yeah, of course, anytime.
This is one of the. This is where my challenge of episode 4, because this is not my favorite episode,
right? Which
and this is
weird to me. But I've learned in my research that I'm in the minority. I love this episode, and everyone's like, "Yeah, it's filler." I'm like, no, it's great.
Where it fell apart for me was I was excited to see Cara Dune introduced. I didn't like her introduction per se. I felt like I love the fighting. I love the meme it gives us. I love all those pieces. I wasn't into the idea of how they connected and suddenly became pals. I didn't find it. Not that everything in Star Wars needs to be believable. I just got done seeing Rise of Skywalker again. There's stuff that I'm okay with being not good. This one, I just couldn't connect to it for whatever. And even on now the 4th viewing of it,
right,
in review for this, I still could not connect.
Yeah, that makes sense to me because originally the whole thing is that she thinks he's looking for her because he's a bounty hunter.
Right.
He thinks she's a bounty hunter and want to make sure that because he's out on
right.
guild, he's got to figure out what's going on. When they find out that they're cool with each other, they're cool with each other.
Yeah,
so,
I don't know. I just can't buy into it.
I don't want to be like, well, you still have grudges. I'm like, no, go drink.
Yeah.
So to me, it's very RPG like. It's like how you introduce a like.
It just wasn't. I guess for me, my challenge was throughout the entire episode. The theme that came about is things happen very quickly, underdeveloped.
Right.
I felt like this is a denser. Maybe we should have had 10 episodes and this could have been a split ski, or we could have built upon this one a little more. I just felt like it was a little underdeveloped.
Okay, that's fair. So she's a drop trooper. They kill Imperials, which I can't wait.
I think she's a merc though, right? Aren't there shock troopers like mercs?
No. She was
Rebel Alliance.
She was Rebel Alliance,
okay.
And then she became New Republic, and then she quit because she. When as she put it, the politics started, and so she didn't want to. She wasn't there to protect delegates, and she wasn't there to quash riots. And she's there to.
She's a machine.
She's a machine.
She's a killing machine.
She's here to kill Imperials. That's why she got into into the Rebel Alliance.
Can you imagine how good a movie of her backstory would be?
God, I want to see Drop Trooper. I want to see. Why didn't I see that on Endor?
And look, it's everything post Endor.
Right.
Like, okay, that's the time period I'm super interested in. This is great because it's 5 years after, but you imagine the 5 years leading up to this, like what all happened?
Crazy,
I think the Mandalorian War happened. The Purge happened during that window.
I think the Purge happened earlier.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
Pre Jedi?
Right. I think the Purge is still the Jedi Purge. I don't.
What do you mean?
I think it's the Jedi Purge they're talking about. I don't think they're talking about the Mandalorian. I think that's what's going to fool you. I think they're when they say the Purge. I think it's.
Oh, Order 66. Mm-hmm. Interesting. I don't know. I'm trying not to
because I don't think there's a Purge, and I could be wrong, but I don't want to spoil. We'll talk about it in my Star Wars because I want to.
Click on over to my Star Wars after you finish this episode.
So it'll air Friday, and so you got a few days later. All right, so they finish soup. She warns them, basically like we said, hey, I'm not looking for you. You're not looking for me. Let's just part ways. And so they do. Mandalorian goes back to the ship, goes the work on it, and some villagers show up from the village from the shrimp place, the Bubblegum Shrimp Village. Show up.
All kinds of shrimp.
We got krill. We got
Creole shrimp. We got.
I like fried krill. I like stewed krill. Boiled krill. Klatoonian krill.
Mama makes some good shrimp.
Nick 2 krill.
Nick 2 krill.
I
got some krill in my grill.
Krill in my grill. Real krill.
All right, that'll soon be for sale on my on my Etsy store.
I like my ice cream, krill ice cream. Anyway, back from that. So the Krill villagers go talk to the Mandalorian, who's like, yeah, we totally need your help because these dudes are trying to whoop on us, and Mandalorian's not interested, and they're like, we can pay you, and they throw him a little money, and he's like, that's not enough. And then he's like, well, we got to go back to our long village. It's way, way away. And that kind of perks his interest. And he's like, can we stay if we go help you? He's like, sure, you can totally come crash at our place. And so then he goes to Cara Dune's tree. I guess she's camping at a tree.
Yeah, it throws her some money.
Throws the money, which is not much.
Yeah.
But, and he's like,
I think she says lunch money.
It's like lunch money. And he's like, we're going to go whoop up on some raiders and, you can hide out in the village with me. So they do. So all three of them head with the villagers via their wagon. Their space wagon.
Here's my other point of contention to have a tough, underdeveloped moment. Both, it appears, now we don't see his eyes, but it does appear that both the Mando and Cara Dune fall asleep on this wagon. I think, in my mind, one of those two characters should have been awake keeping watch. It bothered me because they made a point to show them waking up. I don't know why. It's just again, directorial issue. Not because she's a woman. Just poor choice in directing for me. But it was one of those things that was like, wait, what shouldn't... I know it sounds dumb, and it sounds like I'm nitpicking. Right. It just stood out to me. So, sorry.
So they... So they ride to the village. They're going to go help the folks out in exchange for room and board. Omera comes and talks with them. She's going to hook up the Mandalorian and offer a place to stay. Her daughter shows up. The Mandalorian almost shoots her.
Yeah,
because he's definitely not used to children, and that goes a lot better than I thought it was. Like, whoa, slow your roll.
Yeah, she was real chill
about that. Omera tells that her daughter Winta that he's a nice man. They're going to protect him from the bad ones.
Maybe she should have told her that Winta was coming. Oh, hey!
Mandalorian says the child in a cradle. They're visited by Omera and the child again, her daughter again, who brings them some food. Winta takes interest in the child and asks if she can feed him. Mandalorian says sure. She then gets permission to play with the child, and she's going to take him outside. And Mandalorian's like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. And she's like, no, it's cool.
Yeah, suddenly, he's like, hey, stranger, watch my kid in a bar. Meanwhile, don't take the kid out. See, this is inconsistencies that I have a tough time with.
I'm not the best parent. And then this is my favorite part. In private, like a minute after that, she's like, so why don't you take off that helmet?
Yeah, which is code for your loin.
I need you to get naked.
Yeah, well, if you got the helmet off, you might as well just...
Look, I'm dealing with Creel people. And you fine piece of armor guy show up. I don't know what you look like on there, but I want that space deep.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is.
He's like, I've not taken it off since I was, older than those kids. She's surprised that he's not showed anyone his face. And then she gives him some food and leaves, and he takes off his helmet and eats while no one's watching.
Which it was cool. I like that gag.
Good.
All they had to do was look up, though, and they could have seen him.
They were all busy.
But they were all busy with Baby Yoda, cutest thing in the world.
So I've got the mysterious man showing his face for Baby Yoda. I'm looking at Baby Yoda.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Because he's toddling and doing stuff and trying to eat frogs, and he's adorables. So that evening, Mandalorian and Cara uses infrared to study the trail left by the raiders. And they look around and they realize that there's a giant footprint, which means there's an AT-ST. And that changes the whole game because AT-STs are nasty. If you don't remember that, go check out Return of the Jedi.
Chicken walkers, some might call them. I know. But that's what I've heard them called a million times.
No. Chicken walker, and even on the Star Wars website, they're chicken walkers. And I understand why they're chicken walkers because they look like chickens. But I'm not seeing a Star Wars chicken, so I'm not sure if
Yeah. Star Wars chickens have inverted legs.
I just want to see Star Wars.
They look like the aliens from the movie The Arrival.
So I know Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni both listen to the podcast, and so my suggestion to you, season 2,
Star Wars chicken.
Give me a Star Wars chicken.
Yeah,
Just give me a Star Wars chicken. Just a Star Wars. Maybe they're big enough to eat a Loth cat. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm down.
Just be like chicken walker. That's why we call them.
It's gonna be like what's the lizard? What's the Sice Noodles? No, yeah, Sice Noodles. What is that? It's some kind of lizard.
Sice Noodles is not a lizard.
Not Sice Noodles. I mean Salacious C. Crumb.
Not a lizard either. He's a monkey.
Monkey. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I thought it was some kind of lizard monkey for some reason. Doesn't matter.
Monkey. So they go back into the villagers and go, "Hey, you guys didn't tell about the walker. How do you forget about the walker?"
Right.
Shrimp. We totally forgot about the walker. So Mandalorian's like, y'all got to leave.
Yeah.
This you got to go out because we'll kill everybody. You have to go eat. And they're like, no, we're not going to leave. And so they're like, well, I guess we're going to train you to fight.
But that would make sense. But that's not how it unfolds. And I'm not trying to be.
No.
It's a problem for me again because it's like you got to go, and then Cara Dune's like, oh, bad bedside manner there or whatever.
Yeah.
And then one guy's like, we're staying. He's like, okay, we'll help you fight. It's like, what kind of flip? Just give me some. Again, it's just more issues of underdevelopment to me.
Okay.
And I like the episode because we get some glorious stuff in this.
Right.
But those things drove me nuts.
So they train the farmers to fight
Straight out of Army of Darkness.
with sticks.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And then all the weapons that Mandalorian brought from the Razor Crest, and the farmers are okay. I want to talk about this real quick. So they're lined up shooting, and I get like a projectile, like a bullet, and a bullet can go stray and stuff. So it takes some effort to shoot a bullet. Is it really that difficult for a laser gun?
Let me ask you a question. Stormtroopers.
True. Maybe so. Maybe that's what they're trying to say. I don't know. But we learned that Amara's like an ISB agent or something because she's good with that gun.
Oh, yeah.
She's got some Imperial in her. She's got she's.
I'd love it if we found out that's what she was. Like, if she comes back season 2 and you get that backstory, I'm all in.
Oh, yeah. So,
especially if she was like ISDN or something.
So the plan is this. They're going to dig a hole and build a wall of debris to hide behind, and they're going to lure the ATST into the hole, so we'll fall into the hole, into the krill pond, and so then they can blow it up, a la Endor.
Right.
Because apparently, and this is the problem with, I guess, walkers in general, because in Empire, at falls, and then... they can blow it.
Yeah, suddenly its armor's super soft.
It's like
yeah.
And then when the ATSTs fall, they're easily blown up. So something about falling on the ground deactivates it. I don't. But you know what? Consistent. That's why.
At least there's that. It's fact.
It's consistent. All right. So that's their plan. Cara and Mandalorian go to where the Klatoonians are hanging out, and then they go cause some trouble and blow some stuff up, and they have a nice little fight.
That sequence is great.
They have a great fight in a tent.
Yeah.
And
you get to see her. You get to see Cara Dune, Gina Carino, show off some of that like mixed martial arts background she has.
Right.
And she's like backbreaking, dude. She's badass.
She's awesome. She's awesome.
Love it.
And they escape, but they also awaken the ATST, which starts chasing them down.
Which I love has red eyes,
right,
if you will. But it's also what you use at night anyway. So like it's like logical to me why it works that way. It's so good.
But you notice also it's painted all weird and it's kind of tribal, and I'm like, I'm digging it.
I love the fact that they don't know how it got there.
Yeah, I don't no idea.
Because it seemed like there's no Imperial presence on that planet whatsoever. So like how? But that's great. I love it.
So the Raiders go back to the village, and so the fight ensues. It's a lot of shooty, stabby.
Right.
The walker gets close to the edge but will not bite. And so Cara Dune has to take the Mandalorian's pulse rifle and head off to go try to lure it in. It takes it a minute, but it finally gets lured in and falls. Yeah,
and I didn't love... that was another sequence. I just... When you do action stuff, this is just personal opinion. When you do action stuff, geography is very important, and they did a very good job of establishing geography. My only problem was some of the angles. I just felt like that walker was literally right on top of her. All I had to do, like it wasn't perfect placement, but it worked to tell the story. It just... I guess my issue with the episode, I'll let you finish it up, and I'll give a No, I'll let you get done because it's reflective of the whole piece.
So the walker eventually steps out and falls, collapses. The Mandalorian comes in with his explodey, whatever his explosives is. I don't know exactly.
Some kind of charge, yeah.
Kind of charge, yeah. And blows it up. Yay! The day is saved. The remaining Klatoonians run. They're never going to bother the village again, I guess.
Well, I guess, yeah, now that they can fight. Trade a village, we learned that the fisherman for a day, whatever that whole thing is. Kriller person.
So then we cut to some weeks later. Mandalorian's like, this place is great. Cara's like, this place is great, but I got to get moving. Mandalorian's like, I got to get moving, but I'm going to leave the kid here because the kid really likes it here. Cara's like, yeah, it's going to break his heart. And he's all like, yeah, but he'll get over it.
Yeah.
So, and she's like, why don't you just mac up with a girl? She really wants to mac up with you. And he's like, can't take off the helmet thing, because if I take it off, I won't be allowed back to my people. She's like, well, that sucks.
Yeah. And it's dense though, because it's like he has a way out,
right?
And he can't participate.
He won't do it, and so he goes to go talk to Amara, who's like really like, you can leave all this stuff behind, and you can.
She's clearly Imperial.
And she's like, you can just chill with us, chill with us. And he's like, I can't, but I'm gonna leave the kid here. Is that cool? She's like, yeah, I'll raise him as my own.
Yeah.
And
so when I'm dead, he'll be 12.
I don't even think he'll be 12. He'll be like 4 when he dies.
Yeah, probably.
And then there's a laser blast sound, because the whole time there's somebody targeting the child, and so we think the child's going to die. But of course the child's not dead. You can't kill Baby Yoda. It's adorable. Cara Dune, she kills a bounty hunter who had a tracking fob, who's tracking them there. And so that means, well, can't leave the kid here. So Mandalorian says his goodbyes. Tells Cara that they'll see you when I see you. Take the child, who looks very sad at all the little kids that were leaving.
Oh, yeah.
It's adorable but sad. And then they head off to their next adventure.
So as a whole, I guess my overall issues with the entire episode, it felt like TV and not Mandalorian to me. So I know that it's a little bit nitpick because it's been so solid so far. So when we get to this, it feels like traditional television, step and repeat, filler episode, gap stuff. And as odd as it's about to sound, because I am a hardcore brown coat, been a brown coat for a number of years, it felt like a rehash of a Firefly episode to me. And I don't know why it just pulled me out of it.
Because they did that episode when they went to the whorehouse.
Oh yeah.
I mean, but that's okay because
it's a trope. It's a cinema trope.
Because they also ripped off the Magnificent Seven, which is
the rip off of Seven Samurai. Yeah,
and this is all this is. And so, what I think is fascinating though about this is that they're being honest with you. Lucas used Kurosawa's characters throughout. I mean, especially 3PO and R2 are Kurosawa characters,
right?
And so there's that influence is there.
Sure.
And so let's just honor it and then let's be upfront about it. And they are. And I think they're not hiding what they're trying to do. It's like, hey, look, it's Seven Samurai. This is what we're doing. We're doing 2 samurai,
right.
and we're gonna have fun with it. And they do. I don't see it as a filler episode too either, because I mean we learn. It's like, I had a friend who's like, we didn't learn anything. I was like, no, we learned a lot. I mean,
we learn about Cara Dune, and she becomes important.
Yeah, and we also learned about Mandalorian, why he can't take off his helmet.
Right.
And
there's tidbits of great information
in here.
I just don't know if it's when I rewatch it again, like I said, for the 4th time, revisiting it, I should say. I just didn't. It still had the same thing. It's not bad. I just don't connect to it. And I think I came off the high of 3 is one of my favorite episodes. Right. Deborah Chow. And so coming off of that and how well that is put together and so well directed, so well cut, going into this, it was just such a style difference to me.
I just like having the breather.
No, I get it. I totally get it. 100%.
And I think actually the next 3 episodes are...
Not a big fan of the one after this either.
I think the next one coming up 5 is my least favorite of the run.
It's up there for me.
So of the run.
Yeah.
And then the one after that I like, but I don't like it. I mean, I think 5's the weakest. But I bet 5 feeds off into something because it has to. But we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah.
But so do you think the problems with this episode, if there's any, are story based or solely with the director?
Mine's directorial. Yeah, I just, if it feels like, well, I don't know the control level of the show, so I don't know how Mandalorian's run. Most TV shows are run by executive producer, which is why Dave Filoni being an EP is very important.
Right.
He's a showrunner.
Right, yeah.
Favreau's not on set, right? I doubt Favreau's on set for some of this stuff.
I bet Favreau's on set.
He's a pretty busy dude. I ran into a buddy of mine that works in Atlanta. He's got some inside baseball and stuff, and I'll share that here in a minute in the Fandom Free Zone. Some good, some bad. But like that, I don't know. He could be, but I don't know if how much Favreau interacts. But if it is directorial choices and they let them kind of take the style, because clearly like Filoni's directorial, Favreau's not Favreau. Tak Fujimoto. Is that who it is? No, that's the DP. Whatever the second director's name. I forget now.
Yeah.
And then Deborah Chow, who I love, I think I adore her. All 3 different styles. And Bryce Dallas has her own style. Right. I just felt like it was a little bit soft and underdeveloped for the content given. The story's good. Right. It's just the content given felt underdeveloped.
Well, she definitely had some choices that she wanted. She used her experiences in M. Night Shyamalan's The Village for the look and the feel of the village in those shots, and then she worked in Jurassic Park, and she said she's like the T-Rex, the ATST was her T-Rex.
Yeah, I think it's great, and it comes through,
and it comes through right because it does got that kind of monster feel because it has pilots, but we never really see the pilots in there. I mean, we see this as this metal monster that's it can it's like a dragon, it shoots fire and I mean it's crazy. So.
And I guess the and as much as that makes sense in that tie, and I wonder if at the same time those are two pop culture reference ideas.
Right.
So maybe I'm having a tough time with that because I can draw an earthly, I know this sounds weird, trope to an unearthly scenario.
Right.
Like, whereas everyone else felt original, this felt maybe not stale, but like I said, I didn't feel like it was developed very well.
So what would you do different? I mean, you're gonna tell this story because you need a story. You need. The show cannot be cat and mouse.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think
the episodes have been cat and mouse, either with him being the cat. And
I would have used the
mouse.
events of the place to form the friendship between Mando and Cara Dune, Cara, however we go with it. I would use that. So like the bone, I wouldn't change anything about the fight, the bone broth gag, all of that stuff. I would have left it as is. Mando goes back to the ship. There's no dialogue scene there. Mando goes back to the ship. Suddenly he needs help. And then that's what motivates him. So he goes to her and says, look, you're a warrior. And it just establishes a little bit more. I don't know if someone's after you after me, but it makes it a little more of a common ground. And we establish it very quickly.
Right.
And it builds upon it even more. I think the taking off your helmet thing, move that later on. Let them get there for a little while first before she starts, because that information leads to a great chunk of info. Mm-hmm. But let them be there for a little bit. Like let the training montage happen and put it, give us a beat to set that space up.
Fair.
I just think it would tone out better, so we can kind of build on a little bit more. I think just a little bit of a blocking difference. I love the idea of figuring out how to get it in, but like how Cara Dune did it. She just like got in the water right next to it. I don't know, some way of just baiting that action sequence in. I don't know what they had to deal with on production, but I would have tried to rearrange that. Otherwise, I had no issues with that side of things. And then certainly when they did find out, I'm sorry to backtrack, when they found out that there was going to be an ATST, I would have had one of the two make the decision to walk off, not both, and then one of them flop back like a fish. I think it would have been interesting if Cara, her character is like, F it all, frack it all, I'll take on anything, because she seems to like be bait. If it's an imp related product, she wants to destroy it. And I would have let her be that and let her steer the Mando a little bit.
Right.
So that she comes across as a much stronger character, because it's going to be important, I think, in her development later on. That's it. I mean, I've thought through because I love it.
No.
I can't always do this with the movies we do on our other podcasts.
Right.
This is the longest I've ever gone on that, but that's what I would do.
I like this episode. I like this episode a lot because I like there's a moment where this whole show can end. Mm-hmm. And like be satisfying. It can end for this guy. I mean, this guy, like you said, has an out.
Right.
Of course, he's not going to take it because it's a show. He can't take the out. But for a moment there, he's considering it. I mean, he knows he's into her. I mean, clearly he's into her. And he can look around and see, like, kid could have a good life. I could have a good life here. I mean, like, is this what I want? And I think what I appreciate about it is that it's shown and not told,
right?
Because he doesn't talk, and he doesn't have and you can't. But just the sheer,
there's some subtext that's fantastic
in this,
yeah.
So that and so that's why I don't see like it's a filler episode. You're not. I hate to put it this way, but you're not watching it right.
Right.
You're missing the point there. I mean, he's really. I mean, he's watching that. As he's eating, he's watching that kid play, and he's making decisions then. And I think after they save the day, I think they're there for a couple of weeks, which I would have shown us that a little bit more. I would have stressed that sudden next scene where a couple of weeks later. I've never liked that, but accepting it as it is, if they've been there a couple of weeks, he's like, this is kind of nice, and she even points it out. That's kind of nice, and he's just, the way he was brought up is finally asserts itself. And so he has to, he does what he does. But I like the fact that this isn't, you can't do a cat and mouse episode every episode. You've got to have he has to have the moment to hide and get his bearings. And I love that about this. And I like, even though he gets his Barrett, it doesn't quite work out the right. He does get that chance. I mean, he does find sanctuary like he does, which I hope we do see it again in the future. So I dug it.
I think it's a good recall set.
It's a big set, so I imagine they would want to use it again.
I have a feeling they will.
So I got a little trivia. I don't have a lot. There wasn't a lot much on this one. This is the first time a Loth cat has been seen in live action,
Which is delightful.
which were introduced in Star Wars Rebels. They're a series of variation of the Tuca cat, which was first seen in Clone Wars. The Tuca species was named after Dave Filoni's cat, Tuk.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, so here's some facts about Klatoonians.
I love it.
So,
Because the Klatoonians were also the villains in is this one of your facts? Oh, in the Ewok movies, right?
No.
Oh, is that Nicktoonians?
No. I have to go look at those up because they weren't Klaatu or
Oh, I thought they were.
They may have been Baratas, who knows. So the mercenaries are Klatoonian, who, according to the new Alien Essential Guide to Alien Species, like to refer to themselves as children of the Fountain.
Interesting.
The species first appeared in Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, but here the masks have been updated to allow greater articulation. I have... The only facts I found were in legends, so I don't do this often. Go off into the legends of the...
Oh, so we're breaking canon, folks.
We're just talking about legends. We're not breaking canon. We're talking about legends. So the legends of the Klatoonians. Klatoonians were a humanoid species from the desert planet Klatoon, located in the Cyclada cluster. For most of the history, they were closely associated with the Hutts as criminal henchmen, soldiers, and slaves. And by the time of the Galactic Civil War, however, some Klatoonians began to break away from their servitude. Klatoonians revered the Hutts, whose natural lifespan spans several centuries. And so to the Klatoonians, they're near godlike. So, these worms...
Interesting.
So that's why they end up falling in line. In fact, the Fountain of Ancients were renamed the Fountain of the Hutt Ancients. And under Hutt rule, the Klatoonian elders were allowed to rule Klatooine. But all off-world concerns, such as the infamous Klatoonian Trade Guild, were wholly under Hutt controlled. In 44, after the Battle of Yavin, damage to the Fountain of Ancients by Sith operatives served as the pretense for the Klatoonians to declare the Treaty of Vontor breached by the Hutts, thus voiding their enslavement. Widespread slave revolts marked the Klatoonian uprising, and which was part of a larger anti-slave movement in the galaxy at the time. I have two. Yeah, so that was our legends. That was the legends moment. To bring us back to canon, I have two famous Klatoonians.
Okay.
And I say famous lightly. Quotation marks. So the first Klatoonian was Barada. He's the one we all know. And you're like, we don't know that one. Like, you totally know that one. Barada was a Klatoonian who served with the crime lord Jabba the Hutt before Zero BBY, and would continue to serve Jabba for up to 4 years after the Battle of Yavin. When Jabba attempted to execute a group of rebels at the Great Pit of Carkoon on the planet Tatooine, Barada was one of the crime lord's minions who traveled with the prisoners to the pit. At the execution, however, the rebels fought to free themselves, and in the struggle, the Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker slashed Barada with his lightsaber and killed him.
And he fell into the pit. He's the burp guy.
He's the burp guy.
Yeah.
Barada first appeared in James Caan's novelization of the 1983 films Return of the Jedi, and the final installment of the Star Wars trilogy. He was played by uncredited by stuntman Dirk-Jan Beer. Concept sketches on him were drawn, and later maquettes were crafted. Barada was executed as a costume made as a slip-on mask and gloves representing hands. Several Barada-like aliens were crafted for the scene in the Sarlacc. Barada, as well as fellow scapegoat Klaatu and the species Nikto, are all references to the phrase Klaatu, Barada, Nikto from the 1951 science fiction film The Day the Earth Stood Still.
And or referenced again in Army of Darkness.
There you go. Number 2. Umpaste.
Nope. No idea.
Umpaste was a male Klatoonian who worked as a drummer and bodyguard for the Max Rebo band at the Palace of the Crime Lord.
Holy smokes.
So he's the edition. He's a special edition edition.
Oh, yeah.
He's the one on the drum.
But he's a drummer / bodyguard.
Right, drummer /
Okay,
bodyguard.
that's important.
So he's, it's him and a weak way both drumming, and they're both in front of the current Frozen Han. 4 years after the Battle of Yavin, he and the rest of the band performed the song Jedi Rocks, which is terrible. For Jabba, who demanded they repeat the song, but then dropped the slave Ula into the Rancor pit when she refused his advances during the performance. The band stopped playing as the Rancor devoured the slave, and then witnessed the arrival of Princess Leia Organa disguised as the bounty hunter Boosh, with the Wookiee Chewbacca as his prisoner. So we have 2 Klatoonians that you can point out.
So is that, just side question, more for my Star Wars life, did the Max Rebo band make it?
No.
Were they on the ship? I can't remember.
Yeah, the Max
on
Rebo
the
band's
barge.
the Max Rebo band's on the barge.
Okay, I couldn't remember if they were.
Double check Jedi again, but I'm pretty sure the Max Rebo band's on the barge.
That's a dang shame.
That is a dang shame.
They were a very talented band, except for that Jedi Rocks. Can we step into the Fandom Free Zone for just 1 minute?
I got one more thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I wanted to talk about ATSTs real quick.
Oh, look at this fact.
The original model for the ATSTs were created by members of the Industrial Lights and Magics, and George Lucas thought they were neat. Or, they're neat.
Neat.
And decided to include them in The Empire Strikes Back along with the ads. So the ILM model shop disassembled and added a metal stop-motion armature. The ATST model received some cosmetic changes for his extensive appearance in Return of the Jedi, thus explaining the minor differences between the model used between 2 films. The all-terrain Scout Transport, the ATST, also known as the Scout Transport, Scout Walker, or diversely as a Chicken Walker, was lightweight bipedal walker used by ground forces for the Galactic Empire. Later, the First Order had used an upgrade version of the ATST within their military.
And do we see the First Order ones anywhere?
They are in.
I see them in Rise or something like that in Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, but they're not used. You see them in. I think you see them in Force Awakens in the hangar bay.
Gotcha.
I don't think they're using them.
Yeah,
because they use the Guerrilla Walkers in Jedi. So Last Jedi.
So for the Fandom Free Zone, one of the most frustrating things I've ever experienced is learning that our dear hero, the Mandalorian, is not always played by Pedro, right?
Does that really
voiced? It really does bother me.
Does it really bother you?
Yeah, it bothers me. So I had Bothan spies all over this country that happen to work in the film and television industry. And to further drive this home,
did many spies die to bring you this
I hope
information?
not, but some I'm sure a bunch of trees did on the scripts that they printed. What really made it worse is that this article dropped a while back. It was like on IndieWire.
Yeah.
Of course, it was just troll news, so people picked it up everywhere. The reason it bothers me is because I had just got done complimenting on this very show, complimenting Pedro Pascal on his ability to act with just body language, because it's very difficult. And come to find out, the majority of it is done by a stunt person, which is, again, I should have known better.
Do you know who the stunt person is?
Which I think is amazing. It's John Wayne's grandson.
Yeah, John Wayne's
which
grandson. It's like John Wayne
makes
the
the Mandalorian in some ways so much more badass, right? It totally does. And I'm not dissing on Pedro. I know why they did this.
Right.
This is normal producing. You're not seeing the guy's face. You don't need Pedro there. He's costing you money.
Right.
Don't bring him in.
Also in Pedro's defense, he's also at this time of production, he's still working on King Lear in New York.
And so he's tied up. I get it.
So he's tied up. So.
What my Bothan spy told me, and this is probably might get me in some kind of trouble, but I don't care.
Okay. Well,
I can't give more than this person was on set for every episode.
Because they're going to be like, well, if Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni listen, they may not give us our space chicken.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, maybe I just won't tell it because I want space chicken.
Do you want it? Is it worth a space chicken to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty big. It was a pretty shocking revelation.
All right, go for it. I'll
Pedro's total time, 2 appearances, the entire show.
Okay.
I just find that amazing. One of which we know, one of which you if you're watching if you're watching with us, you don't know. If you're watching post us, you know. But it's just one of those things to me of like I don't know. What's his name? Carl Urban did it. He wore the Judge Dredd mask and never took it off.
Right. Okay.
And I don't know. Just something about to me that makes a difference.
So saying that, I will remind you that James Earl Jones didn't wear the Darth Vader mask.
I understand it's a voice. I'm all for it.
Suit at all. There were 6 people, or at least 6 people, maybe more, who played Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And
I'm with you.
And Jeremy Bullock gets the credit for most of it, but when you realize how much time
totally
Jeremy Bullock actually played Boba Fett,
we've had 2 Chewbacca's. God rest you, Peter. But I get it.
So
it's more a matter of this being smaller. Well, arguably, it's not. But
I understand.
Yeah.
I 100% understand where you're coming from. However, again, you talk to the casual fan about Star Wars.
They won't know the difference, yeah.
Yeah, you talk to the casual fan of Star Wars. Who played Darth Vader? James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
No one, no
one knows David Prowse.
Yeah, David Prowse. The hardcore fan, we all do.
Yeah.
But the casual fan.
And that documentary is heartbreaking, by the way.
Right. And so, what Lucas did to him is not.
Oh, it's heartbreaking. It's a dark story that people don't like to talk about.
It's not fair.
It's terrible.
Not fair. But no one's perfect. So
anyway, my thing about it was the fandom free part of this is, as much as it's a self-statement for me, the greatest thing that comes from that is then learning that you have this badass swagger of a cowboy coming from one of the most badass swaggering cowboys to ever walk this earth.
Right.
And it's his grandson. So you have John Wayne's grandson. I forgot his name.
Is John Wayne the third? I mean, I think
it might be.
I think he's a John Wayne.
I hope that we find out somewhere he gets a face cameo. Like the guy gets a cameo somewhere in the show where we get to see him be somebody, or just something fun, because I think it's well worth it to have that young. He might not be that young. No one knows. You say grandson, I think kid, but that doesn't mean anything. I'm 40 years old and I'm somebody's grandson. I just hope that we get to see that space. The fandom free part of it is sometimes it's like pictures are deceiving, and I think we often give a lot of credit to the celebrity and not necessarily enough credit to all the other crew and or actors that go in, especially like stunt persons that go into creating these amazing characters.
Well, that's 100% true. There's still not a stunt Oscar.
I know, and that's part of my thing. Is like, here we have a stunt performer literally performing the body motions. Now he consults with Pedro and all that stuff, but those guys are working together. Those persons are working together to make this happen, and it is a little bit on the. Sometimes I get sad that we just do not celebrate them enough, or at least give them enough credit. That's all. It's not. I can't really get mad. This show's too clean that I can get angry at Star Wars over on the my Star Wars Life podcast.
I 100% agree. I think some people should get more recognition. But the reality, they won't.
No, I mean that's the problem with the people go see movies for stunts,
right?
But they don't know the performers in it. They're going to see the actor be mimicked in that stunt. Right. I mean, James Bond is a prime example of those. And The Mandalorian is chock full of stunts.
Right.
Now Gina Carino does a lot of her stunts, right? That's part of her MO, but she's an MMA trained professional. She's like a wrestler. Wrestlers can do a lot of stuff that the normal. That's why. Well, what helped Dwayne Johnson's career is he could do a lot of these great stunts. Still can, because they've got a lot of training. But once you get to a certain point, it's not just that the actor doesn't want to. The studio's not going to risk their moneymaker on, especially in a franchise series. So
that's true. That's definitely true.
So stunt people need that recognition. In my opinion.
I agree. Again, there's not a stunt Oscar. That's one of the ones that they're fighting for, and I think they need one.
Yeah, for sure.
They definitely need, because if I'm setting someone on fire.
Yeah, and people that are close to friends have passed away. Like John that passed away on Walking Dead that wasn't a major stunt.
Right.
I mean, all stunts are dangerous. They can go sideways real quick.
Right.
So there we go. That's it. That's all I got. That's my rant.
No, it was a good rant. It's a good rant.
Just putting it out there.
I got you. We may not get space chickens, but oh well.
It's worth it.
We can do our own space chickens or our own thing. Right?
I'm going to make my own space chicken.
Make our own space chicken. And then have my own.
I got an air fryer for Christmas, so I'm going to have air fried space chicken.
Ooh, sounds delicious.
It's going to be like a rehydrator.
So our next episode is episode 5.
Yep. Tough episode.
So will be interesting. But there's a comedian in it who I love.
Absolutely.
Who apparently is decisive. JD hates her. And so.
Oh, that's funny.
So it's real funny. So stay tuned for that. And if you want to hear more our discussion on what's current in Mandalorian, just come see us on Friday for My Star Wars Life.
That's right. We'll be there.
So this is Scotty saying this is our contribution to the multiverse. Go out and make yours.
Koha's out.
This is the way.
Thank you for listening to the Mobcast Network.